We're witnessing a silent war, and the battlefield is inside your own home. While Americans are glued to the election circus, Russia just fired off a hypersonic missile that NATO quietly admits could render U.S. defenses obsolete overnight. This isn't just another weapons test, it's a direct message to Washington. America's dominance is no longer guaranteed. Now, imagine this. One launch from Moscow and our East Coast defenses are irrelevant. That's not a war across the ocean, that's a threat aimed directly at you. And the political class? Instead of sounding the alarm, some are dismissing it as overblown. But if they're wrong, the fallout will be catastrophic. But here's the chilling part. Reports suggest the missile's true range was deliberately hidden, and its first target might already be chosen. Wait until you hear who's in the crosshairs. We've got the details and more, but before we get started, like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a breakdown. Russia quietly mass-produced a missile that could make Europe's defenses obsolete, and NATO is scrambling. This is not a drill. Stay with me as we unveil 6 beat that shows how real the threat is. Beat 1. The threat emerges. The Kremlin goes on state TV. Putin steps up to the podium, and with a smirk he announces it. The Oreshnik has entered service. A missile designed to fly at 10 times the speed of sound. A missile that can carry both nuclear and conventional warheads. And one with the range to cover every single European capital. But Putin doesn't stop there. He hints at something darker. By year's end, he says, these weapons will be deployed in Belarus, right on NATO's doorstep. The message is clear. The noose is tightening. But why is this so dangerous? That's where things get chilling. Why NATO is panicking. See, this isn't just a missile that flies fast. The Oreshnik is MIRV-capable, which means it can split into multiple warheads mid-flight. One missile suddenly becomes many. And here's the kicker. Even if the warheads aren't nuclear, the sheer kinetic impact at hypersonic speed rivals a nuclear strike. Cities leveled, defenses shattered. And what about NATO's billion-dollar shields? Patriots, the terminal high-altitude area defense, Aegis, systems built for yesterday's wars. Against Oreshnik, they're about as useful as museum antiques. So if NATO can't stop it, what happens next? The diplomatic stakes. This test wasn't random. According to Ukrainian intelligence, the timing was deliberate. Because in just days, Putin is set to meet with Donald Trump in Alaska, a high-stakes summit. And now, Putin walks in with leverage strapped to his hip. Is Oreshnik meant as a threat, a bargaining chip? Or simply a reminder that Russia still writes its own rules? The scarier part is this: no one outside Moscow knows how far this weapon really goes. How unpredictable is it? The answer might shake NATO to its core. Defenses failing. Western generals aren't sleeping well, because even Patriot missiles, the pride of U.S. defense, have struggled against Russia's older hypersonics like the Zircon. And there are whispers one even slipped through in Ukraine. Now picture the Oreshnik. Faster, deadlier, designed to do what no interceptor can. So here's the nightmare scenario. If one launch can't be stopped and NATO has no answer, how much time is left before Moscow pushes the button? That uncertainty, it's spine-tingling. Beat 3. The Belarus leverage. And then there's Belarus. This isn't just another ally, it's a forward base. Putin already signed a treaty pulling Belarus under Russia's nuclear umbrella. And now tactical nukes and hypersonics could be parked right across the border from Poland, Lithuania, and Latvia. This isn't posturing anymore. It's positioning. It's turning Europe's eastern flank into a launch pad. So what happens if NATO decides to push back? The answer could decide the fate of the entire continent. The escalation looming. And here's where it all comes together. Russia has officially abandoned its self-imposed missile limits. No more restraints, no more ceilings. The Cold War's old guardrails, gone, which means we're staring at the birth of a new arms race. NATO knows it can't just react anymore. It has to redefine the battlefield itself. And defense industries catch up. Or is the West already 2 steps behind? When you thought the story was linear, surprises emerge. Choko, reports suggest not all tests succeed. The Oreshnik may still be experimental, with only a few operational units. So what's real threat and what's bold bluff? Next, we'll peel back the curtain. We'll compare what Moscow claims versus what Western analysts believe. And you'll learn the secret question. Is the Oreshnik a global game changer or a propaganda masterpiece? Recap. In Part 1, we saw how Russia rolled out the Oreshnik. Mach 10, MIRVs, unstoppable. NATO was rattled. But how real is the threat, and how close is the response? That's what we're digging into now. Beat 4. Oreshnik, real or rhetoric? Putin claims Oreshnik is in full production and soon to be deployed in Belarus. He says it's unstoppable and nuclear-level powerful, even with conventional warheads. But analysts warn it's still experimental. Only a limited number exist. Some tech reused, not revolutionary. Is this a real strategic leap or a chilling bluff? Let that sink in. NATO scrambles. In simulations. NATO isn't idle. They've launched hypersonic defense simulations, building virtual interceptors to match these threats. But reality lags behind the hype. Interceptors like the US Glide Phase Interceptor, GPI, are years away from deployment. Capability? Not before 2030-2035. The clock is ticking. Can NATO build real defenses before the threat is real? Or is it already too late? Putin and Lukashenko have tapped Belarus for near-term deployment. By year-end, Oreshniks could be sitting just miles from NATO's borders, pointed at Poland, Lithuania, Latvia. Belarus is now under Russia's nuclear umbrella. Tactical nukes and hypersonics on the same soil, deterrence turned offensive. So, what happens if NATO tries to push back? Beat 5. Europe builds back. Arms race in action. Europe's answering with war production on steroids. EU weapons factories and ammo output have tripled. Germany, UK, Norway, Hungary are all ramping up. But bottlenecks remain, especially in missile components and warheads. Even with the new 1.5 billion euros defense fund, is NATO industrial capacity catching up or just playing catch-up? 6. Strategic strain, the alliance tested. NATO's response isn't only military, it's strategic. At the Hague summit, leaders pledged a 5% of GDP defense spending target by 2035. But political cohesion is fragile. A new report warns NATO still lacks a unified Russia strategy. Fragmented responses could be Russia's strategic advantage. If alliances fray, what chance remains for an ironclad defense? So, Oreshnik is powerful, threatening, but experimental, deployable, but scarce. NATO is racing, but stuck in simulations. Europe is building, but stretched. Here's the twist you don't expect. The real battleground might not be missiles or factories. It's the political will behind them. Russia may have a gun, but if NATO's mind isn't locked in, That gun changes nothing. Who holds the power to tilt or break this fragile piece? So, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel as we look forward to seeing you on our next video.